Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review of the Star Trek Discovery trailer. Now, this trailer just dropped today, a few hours ago, I think, maybe a while ago. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit behind. I'm not sure, but I just watched it now, so I had to talk about it. I had to just real quick throw some thoughts out there on this trailer because there's a lot of different feelings, a lot of mixed feelings about the Star Trek Discovery new show. I know, like, I myself am a longtime Star Trek fan. Of course, if you're familiar with this channel, you should know that. But I'm more of a fan of the '90s show. I think those are my thing. The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, that was my jam. I grew up in the '90s. I'm a '90s child. Those are the shows I love. Like, I'm not a Shatner, I'm not a '60s person, and I'm a bit older to be into these stupid new J.J. Abrams reboots. And that's another thing I want to clarify, is I don't like the J.J. Abrams reboot. Although the last one they did, Beyond, I enjoyed. I thought it was good. It wasn't the best thing ever, but at least it felt like Star Trek, whereas the first two were abominations, especially the first one, the 2009, which is horrible. Even if you take the name Star Trek out of it, it's a horrible film. But not talking about that now, I'm talking about Star Trek Discovery. But it's relevant because a lot of people are like me, who are fans of the original track and the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, all that, are very cautious about Star Trek Discovery because of the reboots. This is going to be more Abrams bullshit, and people have been more cautious because of, apparently there's been a lot of issues with Star Trek Discovery itself, because it was originally supposed to come out in January of 2017, and now here we are in May of 2017, and we still don't have a release date. Although at least we finally get a trailer, but we still don't have a release date. And apparently, like, Brian Fuller was going to be the showrunner. He was out promoting it. He's worked on Voyager, I believe, and he's showrunner for like really great shows. I'm told they're great shows. I haven't seen them, but really well-known shows like Hannibal. So everyone was excited for that, and then he dropped out. So then that's when people started freaking out and getting a bit worried. Oh no, Brian Fuller dropped out. This is going to be a disaster. And I did hear there have been a lot of rumors flying around, and I don't know which ones are true, which ones are not, but there's a lot of rumors that there was sort of butting heads with Brian Fuller and the CBS head honchos, producer guys, and they were forcing him to take it in the direction that he didn't really want to go in. Now, apparently after he dropped, but he claims, of course, publicly they have to say, oh, it was mutual beneficial, blah, blah, because he's working on American Gods, and they said he was too busy doing that. So, who knows? Rumors could be bullshit. Maybe there was no trepidation. Maybe he was just too busy doing American Gods, or maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe it's a combination. I think that's the most likely thing. But anyway, I don't remember their names, but the people that Brian Fuller tends to work with all the time and worked with on other shows, he worked with them to create the Star Trek Discovery. They're taking over for him once he's left. And I think Alex Kurtzman, who was worked on these reboot films as well as shows like Fringe, I think he's becoming a bit more involved when Brian Fuller left. But it's mainly like these other people Brian Fuller worked with, and they're taking over Star Trek Discovery, and they're also good quality. They've ran shows before, so they know what they're doing, but they're not Star Trek fans as much as Brian Fuller is, and I think that was the big concern from the Star Trek fans, that Brian Fuller was the one who was assuring us that this would stay true to the themes of Star Trek. So when he left, that's what kind of freaked out the Star Trek fans. Now, one of the rumors I heard of why the conflict he was having with the CBS or whatever, was that he wanted the look of Star Trek Discovery to be consistent with the Star Trek Prime universe, Star Trek we know. And as we see with this trailer, it looks just like the reboots, and that's what had a lot of people freaked out, and that's why they say the rumors saying that's why he left, because he did not want it to look like the reboots. Now, and I think that's a lot of people, when they see this trailer, I've heard, watch a couple videos so far, and they're like, wow, this looks like the reboots. I'm confused. I thought this was set in the Prime universe. Now, just because it looks like the reboots doesn't mean it's set in this reboot or Kelvin timeline, as they're calling it. I call it the reboot shit timeline. But anyway, just because it looks like it doesn't mean that it's set in it. I think what they did is that they did set it in the Prime universe, but for marketing purposes, they wanted to look like the reboots in order to attract a younger audience and to make it look more new and fresh. But they're having it set in the Prime universe because the television Star Trek audience, their fan base, that's what they want to see. They don't, and plus they don't step on the toes of the movie universe, so the movie reboots can do their things and not have to worry about keeping continuity with this TV series, which is smart, actually. I think that makes sense. Not that I think the reboots are good, but it's still smart. It still makes sense. So, and I think people watching this trailer are starting to freak out. What is this actually set? Are they lying to us? Is it not set in the Prime? Is it set in the reboots? I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the aesthetics. And I think that's something that Brian Fuller was really against. And regardless of what actually happened, I do believe that is part of the reason why, But if that's all it is, if aesthetics is the only conflict there, then I'm not that worried, because aesthetics is just aesthetics. The only thing that I will say that really bothered me about the aesthetics of this trailer is the Klingons. The Klingons look like the Klingons from the reboots, and that's awful. That's awful. I mean, if how can they keep continuity with the Prime line and have the Klingons look like these monster thing? How can they do that? I mean, I can understand how, like, the Worf makeup and stuff from the 90s might be a bit outdated, and they might want to update it a bit to look a bit more sort of modern or whatever, but I think doing it exactly the reboot way is going a bit too far, and it's going to be hard for me to think of them as Klingons. But that being said, Next Generation totally changed the look of the Romulans. In the original series, Romulans just looked like Vulcans, and then all of a sudden, Next Generation, they had bumps in their head. So this isn't unprecedented. And of course, the Klingons originally looked like dudes, normal dudes, and and like sort of dark makeup in the original series, and then in the movies they had bumps in their head. So you could make the argument this isn't unprecedented. They made these changes before, and we just accepted and rolled with it that it's supposed to be the same species. So so I'm willing to do that, but it still bothers me a bit. Like none of the other, like all the other stuff, like the uniforms and like the lens flare and the ship all looks like the reboot stuff, but that doesn't bother me. I'm perfectly fine with it. The only thing that really bothered me was the Klingons. But again, as long as it's set in the Prime universe and they keep to that continuity, I don't ultimately care what it looks like. There were rumors out there that they were trying to do that the CBS guy wanted to like change the timeline, have Sarek from like a different timeline and shit. And if they do something like that, then that will annoy me. Then that will be a huge red flag. But we don't know if that's going to be the case. That could be a bullshit rumor. I'm thinking that it is, so I'm still hoping that they don't do anything crazy like that. And if all of it is the aesthetics, then I'm fine. So now getting to the trailer itself, it does look good. It has me excited for Star Trek, but I will say that the trailer itself, like just judging it from a trailer, like if I knew nothing about this show and I saw the trailer, it's not a good trailer. To be perfectly honest, I didn't think it was that great of a trailer. If I was judging it, not judging it on how good the show it would be, but just judging the trailer by, compared to other trailers, I didn't think it was that good. That might be because they're so early in production that they didn't have enough footage to play with, and it felt like they kind of rushed the trailer to meet a deadline. They could have done the trailer better, but that's not saying anything about how good I think the show will be. I still think it's highly possible the show will be great, and it is still possible that it will suck. So it's still too early to tell. I'm not up in arms and thinking. I know some other Star Trek fans are ready to trash Discovery and think it's ready to call it shit. Oh, I'm just waiting for this disaster to happen. I think that's premature. I think it could be good. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to actually give it a chance. I want to hear it out. Some of the shots in this trailer look beautiful, and it was great. Like seeing the different actors, like Sasha from The Walking Dead playing the lead role. She looks great in that role. It's be so great to have like female centric characters. We got Captain Janeway and Voyager, but that was just a taste. It was, and also different diversity and races, more aliens. We got that weird looking alien who's like, oh, I feel, and she's talking about. It seemed like that character's sort of going off on her own and being like, having sort of conflicts with the captain. And again, getting back, it's great that the first officer is going to be the main character and not the captain. I wonder how, it makes me curious in how they're going to spin it. And from the trailer, it does look like it's going to be more of a serialized story than what most Star Trek shows have been, which is what I've desperately wanted. It's what I very, very, very much wanted. And the visual effects look amazing. Some of the shots look great. So I think it's going to be good. I have my hopes. Judging by this trailer, it makes me feel good about the show overall, except for the Klingons. That's the only thing that bothered me. I'm just going to have to get used to it. And if the story's good, if the characters are good, if everything else is good, then I will get used to it, and I will eventually stop bothering me, and I'll give it a pass. But if it's jumble, if they fuck with the timeline again and do stupid bullshit, and if the characters are flat, then I'm not gonna forgive it for anything. I'm gonna be like, well, it sucks. So I'm not willing. I'm willing to give the show a shot, but I'm not like 100% on board yet. I need to see it first and judge it. I'm not gonna say this is gonna be the best thing ever. I'm not gonna say this is gonna totally suck. But what I will do is saying I will watch it as soon as it comes out. I'm very eagerly awaiting it, and I will review it, cover it very intensely whenever that will be. Hopefully it will be by the end of the year. I think that's what the rumor mill was saying, maybe in the North American or the North Hemisphere autumn, the fall, maybe around that time. Hopefully we'll see. So if they're having a trailer out in May, you would think it would be around that time, like maybe September, October. I think some people, the buzz was August, but that might be a bit too early. But we'll see. It'll be great. Like the trailer. Well, not the trailer itself could have been better, but I'm excited for Discovery. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Star Trek Discovery. So yeah, if you haven't checked out my channel before, be sure to check it out. I do many more Star Trek videos and tons of Star Trek reviews, and also cover other shows like Game of Thrones. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching.